because Shakespeare, in a way, started modern understanding of literature, and his dramas are full of, human existential complications. His dramas, they represent modern understanding of the world, and they also, make us aware about the universal situations which all people face in all their lives and in all continents. Right? सोनम, वेरी सोनम, बेटा
Yes,
एक
sir.
सोनम, आपने अपना ऑडियो ऑन कर रखा, ऑडियो ऑफ करिए क्या, अदरवाइज वहां से आवाज आएगी। हाँ, ऑडियो ऑफ कर लीजिए, वीडियो होती है। ओके, सो Shakespeare is a quintessential English dramatist, or some very basic and fundamental English dramatist, with whom we say that modern age, in a way, certain qualities of modern age is they started appearing in English literature, right? And Shakespeare is also known for some very famous tragedies, particularly four tragedies are very famous. One is Othello, another is Macbeth, then King Lear, and fourth is Hamlet. These are very famous, tragedies which made Shakespeare a name. There is not much known about the biography of William Shakespeare. It's so confusing and so uncertain that certain critics and certain people think that there was even no person by the name of William Shakespeare, because we do not have a very definite record of his biography. Whatever knowledge we have about Shakespeare is taken from other sources, secondary sources, which is not very reliable. That's why certain people say that Shakespeare was simply a pen name of somebody like Christopher Marlowe or other person who wrote dramas in the name of William Shakespeare. Then Shakespeare also wrote certain comedies and certain romances and certain historical dramas and certain historical narratives in one sense. So he had a varied production. He had a very complex set of production which contain diverse impulses within them. Let us come to the present drama which is in our syllabus, that is the Merchant of Venice, and we will try to see what this drama signifies and what are the major themes of this drama, or who are the major characters in this drama, and why this particular drama is so famous, because it contains certain impulses which can be characterized as the universal impulses of human beings. So let us try to understand certain salient features of this drama, and I will share a PowerPoint presentation with you. Okay, so this is BA Honors and second semester drama and the Merchant of Venice. Okay, I hope this is visible to you. Is it visible? नन्नी दिख रहा है? Presentation दिख रही है?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So right from this one, and we say start slideshow. Okay. And slideshow. So this is Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. Hmm. There are huge canals there. Can you see the canals? Hmm? And the historical buildings around those canals, because Venice is very close to the shore, and so there are long canals, and it's a very beautiful city. It's a very beautiful city. Till now, even now, this is considered one of the most beautiful cities. So let us have a bit of history about Merchant of Venice. Okay, the play talks about Venice of the late 1500. Late 1500 means the play is situated in the later part of 16th century. Venice was one of the richest city in Europe. It was a merchant city, and it was quite famous for the wealth and for the kind of merchandise it brought to Europe from other parts of the world. It was home to many tradesmen, foreigners, and different religious views. In a way, the society of Venice was a multicultural society. People from different walks of life, people from different ethnicities, they used to live in the city of Venice. Jewish people were targeted negatively. Who are Jews? Who are Jews? Jews कौन है? By the way, common. Who are Jews? Jews are a very ancient community. You know, Christianity is born out of Judaism, जिसको हम हिंदी में यहूदी कहते हैं. यहूदी का नाम सुना है? Jesus Christ was sacrificed. He was put on the cross by Jews. So there is a quarrel between Jews and Christians. Although Christianity in a way was born out of Judaism, but since Jesus Christ is considered as the prophet, the greatest prophet by Christians, and since Jesus Christ was crucified by Jews, so there is an animosity, there is a quarrel between Jews and Christians. Jews are mostly tradesmen. Jews are very rich also because they are merchant people, and there has been a lot of history about the persecution of Jews. आपने वर्ल्ड वॉर सेकंड का नाम सुना होगा, इसमें हिटलर ने Jews को गैस चैम्बर्स में बंद करके मारा. It's a very persecuted community, and Hitler was not the only person who persecuted Jews. Persecution of Jews has been very constant throughout human history. Jews were not liked by Christians because maybe because of economic disparity. ज़्यादातर जो Christians थे वो गरीब थे, Jews अमीर थे. A poor person always hates the rich person. Maybe because of that religious conflict, क्योंकि Jews ने Jesus Christ को crucify किया था, so there is an ancient struggle, ancient animosity between the two communities. So there has been a long history about conflict between Christians and Jews, and there have been many stereotypes about Jews. Jews were considered very miserly people. They were considered very secretive people. They were considered very dirty in one sense. They were considered, very conceited people, right? So there is a constant negative stereotyping of Jews throughout the centuries. And this negative stereotyping is also visible on this play. On the one hand, William Shakespeare was able to, repel certain attributes which were usually associated with Jews. On the other hand, he is not able to escape from certain negative ideas which were made about Jews. So that's why the villain of this play is a Jew, and the hero is a Christian. The Bassanio and Antonio, who are the heroes in this play, who are the major positive characters in this play, they are Christian people. And Shiloh, who is a villain of the piece, is a Jew. And Shylock is presented, the villain, the Jew, the merchant Jew, is presented in such colors that we come to understand the typical nature of presentation of Jews in the society of 16th century. Right? Okay. So let us move further. Okay. So there was religious intolerance in Venice at the time, which is presented in this play. Jewish people were confined to ghetto. Ghettos were dirty bastis. आजकल जिनको हम बस्ती कहते हैं, slums कहते हैं. Ghetto means an enclosed area in which only one particular community lives and not very hygienic circumstances. That is ghetto. We say that African people in America, they live in ghettos. हमारे यहाँ बस्ती से होती है. It's close to basti. Since Jews were a minority people, within the larger Christian majority, they felt persecuted, and of course, there are indications that they were really persecuted, and because they also felt threatened by the majority Christian community, which did not like them. So they used to live in certain confined areas in which only the Jew people lived. So they lived in ghettos. This was a gated community. It was a very self-enclosed community. They, of course, as merchant, they used to have discussions and they used to have, links with other communities. But in matters of their religion, in matters of food, in matters of marriage, more or less it worked like caste system as it does in our country. That it is a particular kind of caste which was not allowed to marry outside its community. They did not usually take food with other people. They did not share their religious beliefs with other people. Hmm? And they were treated with little or no respect. They are kicked or spit on. They are treated. They were forced to wear red capes. Red caps, remember. In 16th century, since Jews were not liked by Christians, and Christians were in majority, so it was made compulsory that all Jews will wear a red cap so as to identify them from Christians. In Merchant of Venice also, Shylock, who is the main villain of this play, wears a cap. And there are also references in the play that Shylock is kicked, he is treated, he is spit on by other Christian merchants who do not like him because of his religious affiliation and also because Shylock is a miserly merchant, conjurer. Hmm? On the one hand, there is an individualization of the main character. On the other hand, there is community stereotyping. And so the villain is seen in major terms in which, the community of Jews was seen in 16th century. So to understand this play, we must understand this social, economic, and religious background which was there in 16th century Venice. But although it was a merchant city and was quite close to the shore where different people used to come, pass through the city, sell their goods and everything, but on the other hand, there was this division within the city between the Christians and the Jews. Okay? Okay. Now let us see Venetian Woman. Another major thing which you must understand about this play is what was the condition of women in 16th century Venice, how women were looked upon in that society, and how William Shakespeare has presented them in his play. Women were not respected, they were under the rule and command of men. You can compare it with the present day condition of women or the condition of women in the earlier centuries in India also, where woman was commanded by men, they were ruled by men. For instance, in the play, Jessica and her father, Portia and her father. You will see these characters, how Jessica, who is daughter of Shylock, she runs away from her home, and how Portia, uh, who is the main heroine, how she, uh, you know, has to obey the commands of her father. Portia is a rich lady, but even when she is rich and she is independent, she is bound by whatever her father, whatever condition her father has left for her. Not only fathers, even husbands, brothers, uncles, etc., they used to command over women at that time. हमारे यहाँ भी एक famous श्लोक है that when a woman is a child, she is ruled by her father. When she is young, she is ruled by her husband. When she is old, she is ruled by her son. because women are not capable of independence. औरतें आज़ादी के लायक नहीं हैं। बचपन में पिता द्वारा शासित की जाती हैं, जवानी में पति द्वारा शासित की जाती हैं, बुढ़ापे में बच्चों द्वारा शासित की जाती हैं। औरतें आज़ादी के लायक नहीं हैं। We have this sloka also. It also tells us about the condition of women in our society, wherein women were considered, uh, you know, capable of overturning the rules of the society, and so they must be controlled. And there was no political power in women, means they could not take part in political games. Another important aspect of Venetian society which we must understand here is the condition of England in 16th century. Queen Elizabeth became the ruler of England, ruler of Britain in 1558. Around middle of 16th century, Queen Elizabeth became the queen of Britain, and she ruled Britain with an iron hand. She was a very strong lady, and Britain was prospering in her time. It was becoming very famous and it was becoming very powerful. Jews expelled in the Middle Ages, before 15th century, Jews were expelled from the major cities. Nationwide conflict between Catholics and Protestants. Who are Catholics and who are Protestants? कौन होते हैं कैथोलिक्स और प्रोटेस्टेंट्स? नाम सुना है नंदिनी शर्मा? उठ जाओ वरना सो जाओगे। हाँ, जाग जाओ।
सर सो नहीं रहे, जग ही रहे हैं।
सो जाओगे। ये बताओ कौन होते हैं कैथोलिक्स, कौन है प्रोटेस्टेंट्स, कौन है? सुना है नाम?
कैथोलिक्स तो एक कास्ट होती है
ना, कास्ट नहीं होती। क्रिश्चियंस में कास्ट कहाँ होती है?
कैथोलिक्स क्रिश्चियन मतलब
क्रिश्चियनिटी में दो मेजर डिवीजन्स हैं, तो काफी सारे, बट देयर आर टू मेजर डिवीजन्स. One division is called Catholics, another division is called Protestants. तो देखना, there is a long history. Earlier there was Catholicism, then Martin Luther brought about a change. He introduced Protestantism. Protestant movement की शुरुआत की उसने. And Christians got divided into two parts, Catholics and Protestants. Catholics are those people who accept the command of Pope and who see Pope as their spiritual and temporal authority, political authority also. Protestants are those people who do not recognize the rule of Pope. These people, these countries who are Protestants, they have their national churches and their king is both political and spiritual leader in one sense. So Christianity got divided into two parts, Catholics and Protestants. And Catholics and Protestants, they had a conflict between them. Okay? Most of the countries in Western Europe, they are Protestant countries. Britain was a Protestant country. So Catholics were not treated well there. So this conflict between Catholics and Protestants must also be taken into account. On the one hand, there is a conflict between Jews and Christians. On the other hand, there is a conflict between Catholics and Protestants. Playwrights had to be careful not to offend any of the community and especially the Queen. Now, the playwrights writing in Elizabethan period, which is usually we associate from 1558 to 1603, which is considered the Elizabethan age. During that time, playwrights had to be very careful not to offend the Queen and the established norms. So Shakespeare also seems to be, very careful in airing his political views and views which were not acceptable during that time. So London, England, London particularly, similar to Venice, was very important European city. It was cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan means London was inhabited by people belonging to different religious affiliations and different nationalities. So it was cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan का मतलब है जहाँ अलग-अलग धर्मों के, अलग-अलग जगहों के लोग एक साथ रहते हैं. Cosmopolitan. And it was home to many foreigners. Many foreigners came there to settle there. Okay, so let us, before we begin our play, let us remember again the things we have discussed till now. Before beginning this play, we must try to understand the religious intolerance, the division between Jews and Christians. Jews were not respected in the society. They were, you know, they were treated with contempt. Christians were in majority, and so minority Jews were, because of certain historical reasons, as well as because of the prosperity of Jew Muslims. Christian community did not take Jews too kindly. Okay, we also must understand role of women, that in 16th century, women were not given political power. Of course, in England there was a difference because Elizabeth became the queen, but in Venice, women were not politically independent, and they had to be subservient to their fathers. Okay, fathers or husbands or sons. We must understand that Venice was quite an important trade point. Trade was very essential for it. It was a prosperous city. We also must take into account the relationships between men and women. Men were considered owners of women. They were, as husbands, they used to have much power over women. We must understand how women were treated in that society. They were considered subservient to their husbands. And we must consider how Jews were treated, which we have discussed earlier also. The Jews were not taken kindly in that society. They were usually, seen with contempt, and they had to live in ghettos, and they have to bear the insults of the majority Christian community. These are certain aspects, I think, which we necessarily must understand before we start understanding this play in detail. Right? Okay.